Welcome to the morning after season 29 preview here in 2022. Back with you again. This time I have a friend with me today. It's not one of my kids, but nope, it's back. Ninth time, fellas. 9 times. I think, Griff, you made the playoffs 8 times, so something like that. So as many times as I've won it, you've lost in the first round or when you had to buy, whatever. So I can't help to, it's still a crazy stat that you're 1-8. But we are on to the season preview, so we'll get into that right now. First of all, we'll go to the North Division, and I'll try to be quick because this can go long otherwise. Black Dingoes last year went 7-7, just missed the playoffs. Really good team this year. Herbert and Lawrence, so pretty solid quarterbacks. Jonathan Taylor, Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, and Raheem Mostert should be a really good running back group. Receivers, Mike Evans, Jerry Jeudy, Adam Thielen, DeAndre Hopkins starting in week 8, so he'll have to miss that a little bit, and then Olave, who's got some potential. Turning point for him, or the thing that might make or break his season, is Zeke. If Zeke is back like he was in the first couple weeks last year, it should be really a good team. Otherwise, it's going to have to be a lot of Jonathan Taylor carrying him there. Minotaurs last year finished 6-8. Matthew Stafford and Ryan Tannehill, so solid quarterbacks, not a huge upside there. James Conner, Devin Singletary, and Damian Harris could be a little questionable there. You just don't know what the Bills are going to do. And James Conner has a history of injuries, but if he stays healthy, he should get a lot of touchdowns. Cooper Kupp, historically great receiving season last year. Mark Andrews, number one option, Baltimore. His former teammate, now the number one option for at least half the year in Arizona, and Darnell Mooney. So pretty good receivers. It'll all depend on Conner and Singletary. If they play like they did at the second half last year, this could be one of the best teams in the league. If not, probably more in the mediocre 6-8 territory again. But we shall see. Dr. Dangerous, Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Last year finished 6-8. Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, arguably the best 1-2 punch at running back in fantasy here. Cordell Patterson is a third running back. We'll see. CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, George Kittle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Tyler Lockett. So CeeDee Lamb, big upside. Waddle, now with Tyreek Hill, we'll see how that goes. And Kittle's a better real player than fantasy. And Amon-Ra was great in the second half, so we'll see on that. That third receiver / flex kind of be Dane's hinge point on the season, but with the potential to be huge, especially with those two running backs, especially with Chubb having Deshaun Watson starting in week 13, should be a lot better. Chubb is someone I was thinking about 11 for a while until Deshaun Watson got suspended, and then Jacoby Brissett scared me, so I did not take him. But at the end of the second round there, that's an awesome value. One of the best picks of the draft. The Horned Dogs next finished last year 9-5, the number 2 seed. Tom Brady and Jameis Winston. Austin Eckler, Javonte Williams. If not, Henry and Chubb are the best 1-2 punch at running back. That's the other one that would be 1-2. Pollard and Ramondre have some upside. Receivers, T. Higgins, good. Gabriel Davis, as we saw in the playoffs, what he can do, but that's probably a ceiling. Dalton Schultz and Robert Woods. The receivers, the third receiver is a little questionable. Have to see how that plays out for Scott. But the rest of the team could carry him a ways, so it should be a solid season again for the Horned Dogs. Central Division, we have the Bruisers last year went 10-4, the number 1 seed. Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Running backs are Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, Antonio Gibson, and James Cook. Very deep at running back, and McCaffrey and Swift are also very good. Swift is another person I considered at 11. Got a lot of upside. I just worry about the touchdowns a little bit there. Receivers for the second straight year, Keenan Allen and Kyle Pitts are your 1-2. Rashad Bateman is the 3, and Renfrow is the 4. Maybe a little bit questionable there. I think Bateman's got some upside. I'm just worried how much Baltimore's going to throw. And Renfrow, how much is Devontae going to cannibalize his opportunities there? The whole season, though, will depend on Christian McCaffrey. If McCaffrey stays healthy, the team to beat in the league, I would say. If he doesn't, probably like almost everybody else, and this year is probably more so true than any other year, at least in a while. I think I've said this the last couple of years, but this year, it's really it's a level playing field. There's not a whole lot of separation between teams. But McCaffrey there, he probably is a little bit probably the team to beat, I would say. Little big man up next. Last year went 8-6. A lot of 47 to 43 wins. I don't know if it's quite that much, but you do seem to squeak by with a lot of close ones. Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow, excellent quarterbacking group. Cam Akers, Josh Jacobs, Melvin Gordon. So the whole season for you will depend on your dead zone running backs, which you took there. Cam Akers, is he back to his old self? Will Josh Jacobs keep getting the ball? Melvin Gordon's a solid number 3. You just don't know what you're going to get there. But those other two, if they play up to potential and they are closer to the ceiling, this is going to be a team that'll challenge for the division title. If not, might be a long year. Although, Chad, it really doesn't matter. I'm sure you'll still win 50 to 48 on a lot of those games. Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Darren Waller, and MVS. Really good 1-2 punch at receiver. Not loving Waller and MVS is 3-4. Well, MVS has some potential. You don't know. Could be a really big year for him and the Chiefs, but a lot of questions there. And Waller's been hurt a lot in the preseason. Next up, Mike Smallers last year 5-9. Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield, so meh at quarterback. Carr's got some upside though, especially if he starts throwing touchdowns this year. Actually, Dalvin Cook, J.K. Dobbins, Damian Pierce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, very good running backs. It all depend on Pierce. Preseason hero, looked awesome. J.K. Dobbins, will he be back to his old self? If so, that is probably the best running back group in the league. It's right there, neck and neck with another team. And then Devontae, Michael Pittman, Devontae Smith, and Chase Claypool. A little question about the third receiver. Sorry, just you don't know how the Eagles are going to do it. They run a lot, and Goddard and AJ Brown are probably in front of them. Although AJ Brown does have history getting hurt, so might be all right there. Next up, the Badgers last year finished 5-9. Mahomes and Tua, good quarterbacks there. Leonard Fournette, Elijah Mitchell, Chase Edmonds, and Alexander Mattison at running back. Question there, will Mitchell stay healthy? He had 5 different injuries last year that caused him to miss time. That could be concerning. He is darn good. However, it's Shanahan, so you never know who it's going to be every single year. I think they said the last 10 years Shanahan's been running an offense. It's been 10 different. Each year changed who their number 1 running back was. Mitchell looked like the best. Had a great year. So maybe he'll continue. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it's Jeff Wilson. So no offense, Bites. Justin Jefferson, Mike Williams, Juju, and Drake London. Mike Williams got a lot of upside, kind of boomer bust guy, but maybe this is the year he breaks out. Juju, will he return to his old form? And Justin Jefferson, potential, in my opinion, to be the best receiver this year. I had him as number 1. We'll see. That's more projecting than anything else. Have that next up to the final division. Colts last year finished 7-7. Dak Prescott at quarterback. Najee Harris, Breece Hall, and Michael Carter. So he's got the Jets situation locked up, but that is all his running backs. So bye week, going to need to sign somebody. There's people out there that can fill in. Running back depth is a question. Breece Hall, will they completely 50-50 it? If so, it could be questionable because the Jets probably won't be real good this year, and they probably won't be running a ton. Although I'm sure they'd like to. Receivers, Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, Amari Cooper, very good receivers. Diggs and Moore, I believe, might have been on your team last year too. And if DJ Moore can score some touchdowns, that has the chance to be the best receiving core in the league. It's right up there anyway. I would say top 3 for sure. But it'll all come down to those. It's a very solid team. I don't think there's any holes. Upside, maybe might be the one question there. Najee Harris is what he is. He's a volume runner. He does a good job with that. Maybe he'll break a few more runs with a little bit somebody who could actually throw the ball 15 yards down the field. And Diggs, maybe a few more touchdowns this year. He did get a lot of red zone targets last year. So, and DJ Moore. So those guys pan out. Those guys hit their ceilings. The Colts have a chance to do really well this year. Last year's champion for the 9th time. Russ and Lance, who I think is a very good quarterback, grew, but I do think the other one's a little better. with Burrow and Kyler. I do like Russ, though, and see hopefully he does well in Denver. And then Trey Lance, we'll see. Hopefully runs for tons of yards, and he has a Lamar Jackson-like year. Running backs, Kamara, A.J. Dillon, and Jamal Williams are there. Not loving my running back depth. I like Dillon. Thrilled that I got Dillon. I think he's going to have a huge year there. And Kamara, as long as he doesn't get suspended, I do have Ingram at least, but we'll see. But that third running back situation I'd like to improve. Jamal Williams is a good handcuff, and he does get some value, but I'd like to improve that maybe a little bit. Love my receivers, Kelsey, Cortland Sutton, Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, and Brandon Ayuk. I think one of the best receiving cores in the league that we have, unless Kelsey falls off a cliff, but he's probably going to get peppered with targets, so let's hope not. Then we have team prices, right? Last year went 4-10, but did make the playoffs due to our 6th seed rule. Lamar and Cousins, very good quarterbacking crew as a top 3 in the league. Joe Mixon, Saquon, Barkley, James Robinson. In terms of 1-2, that's a very good. James Robinson, we'll see, coming off an Achilles, but potential to be really good there too as well. Another team that has a very good receiving core, top 3 or 4 in the league. A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, Michael Thomas, and Elijah Moore. Michael Thomas, if he's back to himself, that is one of the best in the league. And boomer bust on that. I think I may have screwed that up there. I don't think that's D. Johnson. Very confused as to what I did there. Not a whole lot of questions, in my opinion, for Tim. I would say probably Michael Thomas would be the one turning point there for him. Boom bust, if you will. A.J. Brown staying healthy. It's a pretty solid team. It's a very high floor on that team. I don't see there being a whole lot of negative, unless a lot of things go wrong. It should be really good. But Michael Thomas is the thing that could push him over the top into being one of the few elite teams in the league. If he's really good, yeah, he's there. I don't know what that T. Johnson is for. Maybe all those years you had David Johnson had me confused. Sorry, I'm pulling an Urban Meyer here. And the Gargoyles last year went 8-6. Josh Allen and Justin Fields, very good quarterbacking. Running back Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, Rashad Penny, and Miles Sanders. So good running back crew. I'm a little lower on Jones just because I think Dillon's going to get a lot, but he is going to catch a lot of passes. So I'm sure he'll be fine. Receivers, Debo, Alan Lazard, Christian Kirk, and Dallas Goedert. Not loving the receiving core. Kirk will get a lot of targets, but it's the Jaguars. Passing game, maybe Lawrence steps up. Lazard, going to get touchdowns. But that mystery injury, and I don't know how many yards he's going to get. He's a tight end, more or less. And Debo, he's got Trey Lance throwing to him. I know I drafted Trey Lance, but I don't expect him to be a great quarterback throwing. I might be wrong, but we shall see on that. So as I said, a very parity will reign this year. I think there's not a whole lot of separation. After the year, we'll have a vote on the playoff things that we did last year, the changes, because that'll be 2 years. Everyone should get a good feel for it if it does work out. If it doesn't, if not, there's a couple things we can look at next year that I like ESPN put in now that you will play 2 games in a week if you want. We didn't do it this year. Something we could talk about next year, especially if we get rid of the 6th seed, getting in with the most points. We would just go back to seed 1 through 6. But every week you'd play somebody and say, I'm playing Michael and I win 89-87. Mike, I would go 2-0 that week as the high point team. And then the other game that you'd play would be one would be against your opponent, and the other would be against the league average. So if you get a lot of points and you lose, you'd go 1-1. But if you win 45-43, Chad, you'd go 1-1 because your points would be below the league average, or assumed a league average in this scenario. So it's something we could think about in the future. I'm happy they put that in. The thing I really want ESPN to put in is third round reversal, which if you haven't heard of, how we go 1-12, 12-1, 1-12, 12-1. You go 1-12, 12-1, and then third round's 12-1 to kind of benefit those teams that are picking at the bottom. Because this year, in my opinion, there was a little more separation than normal, and I think it does give them a balance. So if we go 1-12, 12-1, 12-1, then 1-12 again, and then back to normal the rest of the way. Anyway, back to the predictions. We'll keep this under 15 minutes closely. Best pick of the draft, in my opinion. I did like the Nick Chubb pick, but I think Jalen Hurts at pick 75. I think he's got a huge upside, and it's a low pick, as quarterbacks usually are. Best quarterbacking crew, little big men, Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow. Myself and Tim, I think, have some argument there, so maybe being in there. Best running backs, I went with the Bruisers, McCaffrey, Swift, Etienne, Gibson, and Cook. And the best receiving core, again, the couple ones were close, but I wouldn't mind just due to the depth. I like Kelsey a lot. I think he's got a potentially huge year. Sutton is in that group with Mike Williams and Pittman. Godwin, if he comes back healthy, should be a beast. Allen Robinson, now with a good quarterback. But on to the final predictions. The winner of the North Division, my opinion, going to have to go with the Black Dingoes on this one. I think their team is a little better than the rest of them, but it's a pretty close division. There's another team I think could be make some noise. Winner of the Central Division, have the Maulers come in there. I think they could have a good year. There's one other team in there that, like I said, McCaffrey's injury. If McCaffrey stays healthy all year, he's probably the best team there, as is he in the whole league. Finally, in the South Division, I do pick Tim to win the division. Questions for me on how good Godwin will come back and my running back depth, so I will give it to Tim. I don't see there's a high floor on his team. As for the Super Bowl pod, the last 2 years, the Super Bowl has been Tim against myself. The pod ended up pushing us as the top 2 teams, so we did a Super Bowl again this past year. So the Super Bowl teams, in my opinion, myself, every year, let's not kid ourselves and put myself in. I do think I have a pretty good team. Team Price is Right, the Dingoes, and I'm going to give Dr. Dangerous the call on this one, also making it into the Super Bowl pod. So we have 2 other teams here that will be on the Super Bowl pod. If Bernie's team's healthy in there too, but really wouldn't surprise me if any team ended up making the Super Bowl. But that is it for the show. Thank you for tuning in. I didn't keep it super long. Did my best. And see you later. So this will be here for another year, so just get